All right, True Sports episode 16. He's Lewis. I'm Taylor. I'm watching classic classic Red Wings at Blues on NHL Network from January 26th of 2002, where Brett Hull, playing for the Red Wings in that year, picks up a hat trick. You know, the Hall, Hasek, and Robitaille season. Too. The Red Wings went on
Good
to win the
old
Stanley
days.
Cup. Yeah,
Yep.
good old days is right. Yeah, and I got their poster too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dominic's only title. Go figure.
Oh, he won two titles actually. The other one, the
Two.
second one was in '08, where he had to
Oh, that's right.
sit out for the rest of the playoffs and let Osgood
Chris Osgood, yes.
goaltend in net. Yeah, but the difference is Dominik Hasek was the better in 2002 was the better goaltender than Chris Osgood in
Oh, no
2008
sweat.
because in Game
Oh,
5 of the Cup final against the Hurricanes, Hasek got it. Hasek and the Wings got it done.
right.
Whereas in 2008, Ozzy in the Wings against the Penguins, they couldn't hold on and they lost in triple overtime when they
I
could have
remember that
clinched the
game,
cup at
yeah.
home.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Oh, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I wasn't home that night. I was visiting friends, but I heard about the game after I got home. They went, what? Ugh. Nerve
Yeah,
wracking. Triple
yeah. I,
overtime.
I did not need that. It's a
No.
discreet. That's like a spit in the face, a slap in the face to the Red Wings organization, to the '02 Red Wings that were smarter than the '08 Red Wings,
Yes.
smarter and more experienced than the old Red Wings. They knew how to win under Scotty Bowman than with Mike Babcock.
Yeah.
But
Of
that
course,
being
you had to go
said,
against Pittsburgh, and that, you know,
yeah, Crosby and Malkin, yeah, they were good too. Don't get me wrong, but should have had that.
yeah,
But that being said,
I know.
still catching up on football. College football week 2, Michigan, my Spartans and Wolverines routed their opponents. 52-0 over Akron for Michigan State and 56-10 over Hawaii in Ann Arbor. J.J. McCarthy has already got the nod unanimously over Caden McNamara in the Wolverines starting quarterback position. No doubt, no bones about it.
No.
Georgia, Georgia just barely jumped over Alabama for from 2-1 in the AP poll college football rankings. Alabama had to survive a scare in Texas.
Texas, I think, is very underrated. I mean, everybody's thinking, it's going to be a blowout for Alabama. There's no way Texas is going to hang in there. Oh, really? I
Right,
wasn't thinking a blowout
that's
at
the
all.
reason why.
No, because I thought that game was going to be very close, to be honest with you. I did not see that game was a blowout at all.
No. It's all about competition. Texas,
Yes.
the Texas Longhorn Stadium was packed like almost 100,000 Longhorn fans. Well,
That's Texas for you.
well, plus Alabama fans too. Don't forget,
Right.
they were here to see their Crimson Tide just barely win on a game-winning field goal.
Just my rotten luck.
No, that's not. Well, that's not luck. Alabama with Bryce Young knew how to get it done. They
Yeah.
didn't even need luck.
No, but I was going
Bryce Young pulled a Tom Brady, man. He's
yeah.
good.
But I was going for Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
But never underestimate Alabama. Never count them out. But Georgia, the defending national champions, proved to be number one.
Mm. And as long as you get Nick Saban as coach, that's going to be, tough to top.
Right. Nick Saban told the media right after the game, they just have to play better. That's it.
Right.
And then you got NFL Week 1. Yes, my Lions came back, but they still fell short. A loss is a loss. 38-35, they were down 17.
Ooh.
To the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yuck.
Yep. Jared Goff threw a pick six. Their defensive front could not stop Jalen Hurts. And of course Tracy Walker got booted out for 2 personal fouls. He is so stupid and undisciplined. Dan Campbell was on Stoney and Jansen this morning on 97.1 The Ticket. He was talking about this past Sunday's loss. It wasn't. Fucking hell. It wasn't about. He said it's not about winning or losing. It's about improvement, and the Lions' defense most certainly has to improve in order to win. Offense gets you points, but defense does the rest of the job. If you combine those two, it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
And you got to play 60 minutes.
As the
don't leave
goes,
your receivers wide. Right, and don't leave your opposing receivers wide open.
Right.
And don't leave the opposing quarterback Jalen Hurts, for example, all alone.
No.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson, his debut game, well, he didn't do anything, but I think he's only getting warmed up. And Mike Valenti for the last 2 days, yesterday and today, and Rico Beard together on 97.1 on their show, the Valenti Show with Rico Beard. They pointed out that there should be no moral victories for a loss. And Hard Knocks doesn't mean anything.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, moral victories don't matter. There's in sports, it's what's on the scoreboard that matters.
Yes.
And Hard Knocks does not help does not propel the Lions. It's not going to help them either. It's not going to save them. But Lions fans keep their own delusions, you know. But you know what? It doesn't matter what Lions fans say.
No.
No matter what the delusion, you know, the reality factors in more than anyone making it up. So, what else stood out to you in college football and the NFL?
Well, the Jets looked awful. I mean, they couldn't get anything right. The Pittsburgh game came down to the wire against the Bengals on a 53-yard field goal. That had to be, I think, the best moment of the whole week. Giants pulled off a miracle with the coach going for 2 instead of 1. Instead of going right side, oh, the hell with that. We're going for the win. We didn't come here to go for overtime. We're going for it. That took a lot of guts. You know, especially this early in the season, that took a lot of guts to do it. Biggest disappointment, Notre Dame losing to Marshall. Of all teams, you lose to Marshall? Okay. Well, that's say about your team this year. You've lost 2 in a row already. 0-2. You're out of the top 25. You're becoming in shambles. Like, this is not the Notre Dame that we know. This is like the worst start off since I think 95 or 96. And Nebraska's not doing so great either. What happened to the powerhouses?
Yeah, lots of upsets. Wisconsin also got upset.
Yeah, the land of cheese.
Ohio State had an easy opponent, Arkansas State. They
Yeah,
won. They won. The last I checked, they were up 52-14. I mean, they should have scored over 70, and
right.
kept Arkansas State of all teams completely off the board, or at least hold them to a field goal all
Well, I don't
season.
think it's say easy
Okay.
opponent because anybody can beat you. So I don't know if it's a easy opponent, but
Well, what I'm saying is Ohio State could have played better.
right.
It doesn't matter how good or bad that easy or almost easy opponent could be.
Right.
You gotta play 60 minutes. Don't let out the gas pedal.
Yeah. Because remember, Alabama had a loss last year against an unlucky squad, Texas A&M, and anybody who was an Alabama fan was in shock.
It's kind of the way Michigan State let off their gas pedal against Western Michigan in the third quarter, but they picked it back up and they won 35-13 in week 1 in East Lansing.
I recall that, yes.
So, with all that being said, it's time for Lewis's True Sports Report. Lewis, go ahead.
Thank you. All right, everybody, it's nice to be back, and away we go. As we're now, roughly about 3 weeks away from the postseason of the MLB, and we got some barn burners tonight. First up in the top of the ninth, the Orioles lead the Nationals 4-3. A runner on first and nobody out. Edwards Jr. is pitching, and Henderson is at bat. Top of the ninth, the Goofy Blue Jays are leading the Rays 7-2. Good. Pop is pitching, and Suri is at bat. I don't want the Rays to win. As I said, we got a barn burner here as the Yankees and the Red Sox tie at 4. Couldn't have asked for anything better, of course. Tie at 4, 1 out. Holmes is pitching, and Cavas is at bat. Top of the ninth. Ooh, okay. We got a no-hitter in the works here as the Twins are leading the Royals 6-0. No one out. Up, 1 out now. Oh, boy. Moran is pitching, and Waters is at bat. You might want to stick around for this one, people. In fact, I'm going to go to the MLB channel and see if we got anything going here. Of course, don't my big mouth. They might just blow it anyway. Okay, here we go. And we'll keep in tune with that. Going into the bottom of the 7th, the Brewers leading the Cardinals 7-4. Donovan, Edmar, and Goldschmidt are due up. Top 7, A's lead the Rangers 7-5. Hearn is pitching, and Murphy is at bat. Whoops. Okay. Rockies lead the White Sox 3-2. Runners on first and second, and 1 out. Lawrence is pitching, and Gonzalez is at bat. Going into the bottom of the 2nd, the Padres and Mariners are scoreless. Frazier, Raleigh, and Winkler are due up at bat. Heading into the top of the 2nd, the Giants lead the Braves 1-0. DeArnold, Harris, and Rosario are due up. Got a couple of finals here. As in Game 1, the Pirates over the Reds 6-1. Alberto is got the win, and Cisa got the loss. Okay, a combined no-hitter right now. Okay, 1. Oh, got a runner on. Yeah. My big mouth. Rays of Blue Jays 4-2 in Game 1. Springs got the win. Merriweather got the loss, and Fairbanks got the save. Guardians over the Angels 3-1. McCarty got the win. Suarez got the loss, and Cleese got the save. Okay, I think this no-hitter's done. Astros over the Tigers. 6-3. Brown got the win. Hutchinson got the loss, and Presley got the save. Didn't say anything. Elvis Presley, though. Okay. Phillies over the Marlins. 5-1. Bayer got the win. Alcantara got the loss, and Robertson got the save. And finally, if you like pitchers duels, well, we got one for you as the Pirates beat the Reds in game 2, 1-0. DeJong got the win. Espanol got the loss, and Underwood got the save. Just went final. The Cubs beat the Mets. That's right, I said the Cubs beat the Mets 4-1. Sampson got the win, and DeGrom got the loss. Mets fans, you might not want to celebrate that division title just yet. Okay.
Not until it's official.
Like the Dodgers last night. Oh, okay. Yeah, of course, that was only a formality, though, to be honest with you. Yeah, because it's really tightening up now in that division. But the only thing is that every time when it seems like when the Mets are losing, the Braves just can't seem to hold it either. Okay, so standings go like this. Yankees are still in the lead, 85 and 58. Have a 5.5 game lead over the Blue Jays at 80 and 69. Rays are hanging around trying to play spoiler at 79 and 62. They're 6 games back. Orioles 73 and 67 and 11.5 back, and the Red Sox 69 and 77, 16 back. And to think they were supposed to be contenders this year. Not so fast, people. Over to the Central Division, the Guardians are 75 and 68. They have a 3.5 game lead over the White Sox at 72 and 66. The Twins 69 and 70. 5.5 back. That's such a weak division. It's not even funny. The Royals 57 and 84. 18.5 back. And I regret to say this, of course, but your Tigers have now been eliminated at 54 and 88. Sorry, people, but I don't control that. Okay, over to the West. The the Astros. Yeah. 50, and they have a 12-game lead over the Mariners at 74 and 61. The Rangers are 61 and 80. It's 10.5 back. At 31 back, the Angels are 61 and 81. At 40.5 back, the A's are goners at 57 and 90. Okay, over to the National League. Mets are 89 and 54. Have a 1-game lead. That's right, 1-game lead over the Braves, 87 and 64. Phillies 79 and 62, 9 back. They're kind of a long shot. The Marlins 58 and 84, 30.5 back. And the Nationals, who have been a disappointment all season long, 49 and 92, 39 back. To the Central. Cardinals 83 and 68 have an 8-game lead over Milwaukee at 79 and 65. The Cubs are 60 and 82, 23 and a half back. Yuck. Reds 56 and 85 at 27 back, and 29 back and eliminated are the Pirates at 54 and 86. Oof. To the West, Dodgers clinch a playoff spot. Oh, like we knew that was going to happen. Come on. At 97 and 43, and they're just running away with the division. Next is the Padres at 20 and a half back at 77 and 63. Giants are 68 and 73, 29 and a half back. The D-backs 66 and 74 at 31 back, and the Rockies are 61 and 80 at 39 and a half back. Ugh. Hate to say it, folks, but I told you so. Yeah. And one game lead with the Mets, but still, it's not going to be. That's not going to be easy victory. That's going to come down, I think, to the last week of the season. I think it would have to. All right, so now let's check tomorrow's schedule. Being that it's Wednesday, of course, there's going to be a lot of day games on the schedule tomorrow, as one would expect, especially now as we head into the final three weeks. And the schedule goes like this. For September 14th, the Pirates will take on the Reds at 12:35, 1:10. The Angels will take on the Guardians, also 1:10. The Astros will take on your Tigers, 2:10. The Rockies take on the White Sox, 3:45. The Braves take on the Giants, 4:10. Padres take on the Mariners, 6:40. Phillies take on the Marlins, 7:05. The Orioles take on the Nationals, 7:07. The Rays take on the Blue Jays, 7:10 games. The Cubs take on the Mets. The Yankees take on the Red Sox, 7:40. The Royals take on the Twins, 7:45. The Brewers take on the Cardinals, 8:05. A's take on the Rangers, and at 9:40, the Dodgers take on the D-backs. Oh, boy. Yeah, well, lots of luck with that one, people. All right, so, and if anybody's interested in the WNBA game right now, the Vegas Aces are up 55-48 over the Connecticut Sun. 4:01 to go in the third. Come on, Connecticut, get moving. Big dope. I'm a Sun fan. What can I say? Don't forget, I went to school in Connecticut. All right, so here are the NFL schedule that happened over the weekend. Probably not a surprise when you really think about it, but the Bills just went over the Rams 31-10, as the Rams had a Super Bowl hangover. Josh Allen was 26 for 31, 297 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He also had 10 carries for 58 yards and 1 touchdown. And Coop had 128 receiving yards and touchdown. Never fails. Whenever you think it's going to be a good game, it's not. As for the rest of the games, the Saints barely beat the Falcons 27-26. Winston passed for 269 yards and 2 touchdowns. Patterson had 22 carries, 126 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. And Landry had 114 receiving yards. Bears over the 49ers. Okay, 19-10. My brother's happy. Lance, 13 for 26 passing yards and 164 yards and 1 touchdown. Lance also had 13 carries and 84 yards rushing. Jennings, in overtime, the Steelers pulled it out, 23-20. Burrow had 338 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Mixon had 27 carries on 82 rushing yards, and Chase had 129 receiving yards and a touchdown. The Lions made a game, but the Eagles came out in the end, 38-35. Sorry.
Again, no moral victories.
Florida had 243 rushing yards. Swift had 144 receiving yards on rushing yards on 15 carries and a touchdown. A.J. Brown, 155 receiving yards.
Not bad for DeAndre Swift.
Dolphins over the Patriots, 20-7. Tagliavada, 270 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Harena, 48 yards on 9 carries, 48 rushing yards, that is. And Hill had 94 receiving yards. As much as I don't want to go through this, I'll do it anyway. Flacco had 307 yards, 1 touchdown. Carter had 60 rushing yards on 16 carries, and Davis had 77 receiving yards. Commanders over the Jaguars, 28-22. Wentz, 313 yards and 4 touchdowns. 66 rushing yards and a touchdown. Kirk, 117 receiving yards. Browns over the Panthers, 26-24. Mayfield, 235 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Chubb had 141 rushing and 62 receiving yards and a touchdown. The Colts and Texans played to a 20-20 tie. Ryan had 359 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Taylor had 161 rushing yards on 31 carries and a touchdown. And Pittman Jr. had 121 receiving yards and a touchdown. Giants pulled it out with a 2 at the end of near the end of the game, with a 21-20 win over the Titans. Tannehill
Just barely.
at 266 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Barkley had 164 rushing yards and a touchdown on 18 carries. And Shepard had 71 receiving yards and a touchdown. Vikings over the Packers. That surprised me. 23-7. Cousins had 277 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Cook, 96 rushing yards on 20 carries. Jefferson had 184 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Chiefs over the Cardinals, 44-21. Mahomes, 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's right. Hatchko had 62 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And Kelsey, 121 receiving yards and a touchdown. Chargers over the Raiders, 24-19. Carr, 295 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacobs, 57 rushing yards. Adams, 141 receiving yards and a touchdown. Bucks over the Cowboys, 19-3. Tom What's-His-Name had 212 passing yards and 1 touchdown. I know who he is. I'm being sarcastic. Fournette had 127 rushing yards, and Evans had 71 receiving yards and a touchdown. Yuck. Of course, everything else is 1-0, so we don't really need to go to the standings right now. As we're only in the first week of the season. Oh, Vegas is pulling away right now. Just disgusting. Ooh, I have an update here. Yankees now in the top of the 10th have a 7-4 lead over the Red Sox. Ha ha. I don't know about you, but I'm a heavy camper. Yeah. And of
Yeah, it's
course,
on
they need to
TBS,
win,
isn't it?
as much as possible. College football. Yes, we didn't win college football yet, as we had Alabama over Texas, just barely, 2019. Bryce Young had 313 yards and one touchdown. McClellan, 97 yards on one touchdown, rushing yards. And Worthy had 97 receiving yards, proving that he is worthy. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Moving right along. Georgia over Stanford, easily 33-0. Renner, 300 yards even, one touchdown. Mixon, 85 rushing yards. McIntosh, 61 receiving yards. All right. Another easy victory. Ohio State over Arkansas State, 45-12. Stroud, 351 yards and 4 touchdowns. Henderson, 67 rushing yards on 2 touchdowns. And Harrison Jr., 164 yards and receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. No surprise here, as Michigan set Aloha to Hawaii easily, 56-10. McCarthy had 229 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Corm had 88 rushing yards and a touchdown. Bell had 76 receiving yards and a touchdown.
The McCarthy machine.
Furum, 35-12. Huff had 256 passing yards and a touchdown. Shipley, 68 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And Miller, 95 receiving yards, and a touchdown. Appalachia State, here's another upset. Appalachia State over Texas A&M, 17-14. Nobody saw that coming. Bryce, 134 passing yards, a touchdown. Peoples, 112 rushing yards on 19 carries. Stewart, 48 receiving yards. Oklahoma over Kent State, 33-3. Gabriel had 296 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Gray, 71 rushing yards. Mims, 162 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Upset probably here for the week. Marshall upsets Notre Dame, 26-21. Buckner, 201 passing yards and 2 interceptions. Hey, guess who, Buckner? Oh, boy. Labrin, 163 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Mayer, 103 receiving yards and a touchdown. Final in overtime. This was a good battle. BYU over Baylor, 26-20. Hall, 261 passing yards, a touchdown. Williams, 68 rushing yards. And Roberts, 122 receiving yards and a touchdown. USC over Stanford, 41-28. Williams, 341 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Dye, that's D-Y-E, not D-I-E, 105 rushing yards and a touchdown. Addison, 172 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Oklahoma State over ASU, 34-17. Sanders, 288 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Richardson had 131 rushing yards on 27 carries and a touchdown. Another Sanders had 94 receiving yards. I don't think they're related, though. Kentucky over Florida, 26-16. Lewis, 202 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Smoke, 80 yards on 14 carries, and Key had 83 receiving yards and a touchdown. Now, here's a laugher for you, people. Utah over Southern Utah, 73-7. Please. Rising had 254 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Curry had 60 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 6 carries. And Kincaid, 167 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Michigan State all over Akron, 52-0. Thorne, 212 passing yards, 2 interceptions. Wow. Berger, 167 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Reed, 78 receiving yards. Miami over Southern Miss, 30-7. Van Dyke, 261 passing yards and 1 touchdown. Paris Jr., 109 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And Browntree, 102 receiving yards and a touchdown. Arkansas over South Carolina, 44-30. Rayner had 376 passing yards and a touchdown. Sanders, 156 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Wells Jr., 189 yards and 1 touchdown. Another overtime game here. This was a good one, too. Tennessee over Pitt, 34-27. Hooker, 325 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Aberdeen, 154 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Tillman, 162 receiving yards and a touchdown. And this game could have went either way, to be honest with you. I wasn't looking at this as an upset by anybody. NC State over Charleston Southern, 55-3. Leary had 328 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Com, 76 rushing yards, 7 carries. Smith, 58 receiving yards and a touchdown. Washington State upsets Wisconsin, 17-14. Mertz had 237 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Allen, 98 rushing yards, and Lewis had 69 receiving yards. Ole Miss all over Central Arkansas, of course, 59-3. Dart, 162 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Jukins, 104 rushing yards. Bingo, 103 receiving yards. Wake Forest over Vanderbilt, excuse me. Oh, boy. Herman, 306 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Davis, 87 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Perry, 142 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Like Vanderbilt, you're going to have any faith in the win for a football game? No. And last but not least, Texas Tech over Houston, when that was a problem. 33-30 in overtime. Smith, 396 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. Brooks, 86 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. And Dell, 120 receiving yards. And that's it. Yeah, dude, you're getting a Dell. Oh, no. All right. I do have some top 25 college scores here. For next week's games, Georgia will take on South Carolina. Michigan will take on UConn. Oh, please. Oh, boy.
Michigan's heavily favored against
UConn.
Another
Ohio
easy
State.
win.
Kentucky will take on YSU. Baylor will take on Texas State. Mississippi will take on Georgia Tech. Penn State will take on Auburn. That's a 3:30 game. And if we're going to the page, yeah. So remember, these are our next week's games. There we go. Arkansas will take on Tennessee. Florida will take on USF. Pitt will take on Western Michigan. Clemson will take on LT. Texas will take on USTA. Texas A&M will take on Miami. Utah will take on San Diego State. Okay. Lots of luck with that one, people. All right, so on to the highlights of the day, or lowlights, as the case may be. As they often say. Let's see here. And one thing on the list is, of course, all right, here we go. In the Euro, I know we don't really cover this much, but it's noteworthy. As in the Euro basketball tournament, the Greek Freak and Greece are out as of today, as Germany had won in considerable fashion. And with that, Greece was eliminated today. Dennis Schroeder had 26 points in the game. Giannis, though, had 31 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds, but yet came up short as he picked up 2 fouls. He picked up 2 very quick fouls there, and that was the end of that. But, of course, it's only in, international play. There was a question asked, should these players, get signed to an NBA contract if they're playing in these world tournament games, excluding the Olympics, of course. I say if they're going to play for those other teams like that, then maybe you shouldn't be playing in the NBA, or at least for that season. Your heart is with your heart's with the NBA, and that's what they expect you to do. It's also a reason why that I think some players get hurt. So that's how I think about it. And also, of course, just found out that I think that's going to be here we are. So Schroeder has 26 points. Daniel Theus had 13 points and 16 rebounds in the victory. Giannis had 31 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds in 30 minutes of action. However, he picked up 2 fouls for unsportsmanlike conduct that led to the injection of the Greek Freak with under 5 minutes left in the game. Aaron Judge has now hit 56 and 57th home run of the season. I think Maris's record is in big trouble. He only needs 4 more to tie. The St. Louis Blues signed forward Jordan Caillou to an 8-year extension worth $65 million. General manager Doug Armstrong announced the deal today, exactly 2 months after the Blues extend the deal of forward Robert Thomas for the same exact terms. Each player counts $8.1 million toward against the cap for the start of the deal that begins next year, 2023, goes to 2031. I'll be an old man by then. Caillou set career highs last season with 27 goals and 45 assists in 74 games last season. He has 47 points in his first 99 games as a pro. All right. Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver has been suspended for a year and fined $10 million by the league as a result of their investigation to the franchise. Okay. The league announced the punishment today as the investigation found that during his time with the Suns and Mercury organization, Surveyor used a rather offensive word multiple times, which I will not say on the air, when recruiting the statements of others. There were also other instances of incannable conduct towards female employees, including comments of sexual nature and other such comments on employees' appearances. The NBA commissioned an investigation after ESPN published a story in November 2021 dealing allegations of racism during his 17 years as team owner. My question is, why didn't you get rid of him sooner? You big dope. All right. PGA champion Sergio Garcia faces a fine from the DP World Tour, the golf tour that is, after he withdrew from the BMW Championship at Wentworth. Garcia pulled out the second round after shooting a first round score of 76. Then, get this, was pictured being seen at last weekend's college football game between Alabama and Texas. Oh, way to go, idiot. The tour handbook says a player is not entitled to withdraw from a tournament in any round unless, of course, an emergency situation. And this was no emergency, people. The tour confirmed to ESPN today that Garcia did not provide a reason for leaving the tournament and could be hit with a fine within the general regulations of the members stated in the handbook. The handbook clearly states that written evidence of a medical circumstance must be forwarded to the tournament director of the entries department within 21 days of the player's withdrawal, and players not observing the regulation are subjected to a fine. Shane Lowry won the event at the tournament. It was cut to 3 rounds after news broke out after the passing of Queen Elizabeth, and our hearts go out to the people of England. The defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche added depth by signing forward Evan Rodriguez to a 1-year, $2 million deal yesterday. The move comes after losing Nazem Kadri to free agency, of course. The Avalanche are banking on Rodriguez to fill the void. Rodriguez comes to Colorado after spending a year with the Penguins with 19 goals and 24 assists last, and was the only skater last season to play in every game. You don't see that very often anymore now, do you? Danny Ainge, who oversees the Jazz operations, says the Jazz, he said, we're not sure where the team was headed and did not believe in each other last season. Ooh. At the time, the Jazz were 19-7, one season removed from their best season in the Western Conference. Yet, as the season wore on, he felt something was wrong. What I saw during the season was a group of players that did not believe in themselves, Ainge told reporters yesterday, like the whole group. I think they liked each other more than was reported, but I don't think that was a belief. When we got to the playoffs, I thought this team had some difficult playoff runs, and I thought they were just wafting through the playoffs. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but it was clear this team did not perform well in the postseason. The Jazz, who were the 5th seed, lost to the Mavericks in the opening round of the playoffs a year after losing to the Clippers in 6 games, despite taking an 0-2 lead early. Yeah. Stephen Curry told Rolling Stone magazine last month that the Warriors had discussions to acquire KD, Kevin Durant, and would love to play for his old teammate again, who recently re-signed with the Nets. There was conversation among us about if he was available. He said, would you? Every team has us consider conversations. And this was our situation. They will call and ask me, how do you feel about it? Curry, who did multiple interviews with the magazine as part of the cover story for October, Curry said he was never hesitant about teaming up with former Warriors teammate as they won 3 titles together. And Curry won back-to-back MVP awards. Durant's time with the Warriors came to an end in 2019 when he joined the Nets on a sign-in and trade deal. Curry also talked with the Nets. Also talked to his brother Seth, who is now a member of the Nets. Yeah, go figure that out. We'll just have to see what happens with that. And just a few more articles here before we go. Okay, doctors determined today that Steelers linebacker J.T. Watt will not need surgery on his pectoral muscle, as it was stated. He suffered the injury in Sunday's overtime game against the Bengals, but he will be out 6 weeks. Watt sought out the second and third options for the surgery. Head coach Mike Tomlin said he was encouraged about the injury outlook for Watt and his current defensive, and he was the current defensive player of the year. I think we're in a better place now than we were in the game on Sunday. I can honestly say that JJ is out this week for the Patriots, but I wouldn't say anything beyond that. Watt appeared to be injured during the final play of regulation as he tried to sack Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow as he walked out the field and told medical personnel he tore his muscle. Watt recorded a sack and an interception before the injury. Steelers running back Najee Harris confirmed today that a foot injury that prevented him from finishing Sunday's game says it won't keep me out of this week's game against the Patriots. He told Chris Mad Dog Russo of SiriusXM Radio that I'm good about the foot injury and is planning to play in week 2. A source told ESPN yesterday that x-rays on his injured foot were negative. He injured his foot in the fourth as the Steelers were looking to run out the clock against the Bengals. He limped off the field and did not return to the game, in which the Steelers pulled it out in overtime at 23-20. Lucky him. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is not going on the injured reserve list following surgery yesterday, set by Jerry Jones, owner and GM. We want him to be a consideration for playing for us within the next 4 weeks, Jones told that on The Fan, 103.5 and 105.3 in Dallas. The projected timeline was 6 to 8 weeks, according to sources. But Jones said the report following the surgery was more favorable. In theory, Prescott could return by October 9th to face the Rams if things go well during the recovery process. The original thought was Prescott could have missed as many as 7 games, and the earliest he would be able to return is against the Packers on November 13th, which is a week after the bye week. If we thought he would not be ready to go after 4 games, then we would place him on injury reserve. Jones, however, said we are not going to do that. We think we can get there, and we think we can get in and play, so we don't want to leave him out there practicing. We want him to get him. We want him to get him ready to go and see how the injury heals. Mainly his strength and how he grips the ball will determine where his status is. Yesterday, Prescott had a plate inserted into his thumb that would stabilize the joint. Ugh. Seahawks safety Jamal Adams was carted off the field in the second quarter after the victory over the Broncos last night in what Coach Pete Carroll described it as a serious injury to his left quad. Adams was blitzed by former teammate Russell Wilson, who was booed in the stadium last night. I'm not surprised. Early in the second quarter, delivering pressure and hit to help force a third down incomplete pass. Adams lifted off the field in pain after being examined by the medical tent and was helped onto the injury cart. Adams was visibly upset at the point where he seemed to burst out in frustration and was being driven off to the locker room and did not return. His quad tendon got damaged in last night's game. Carroll said it is a serious injury. Adams had 3 tackles, a pass defense, and came on a near interception before the injury. Josh Jones was brought in to replace Adams. The Seahawks also had Ryan Neal as a safety option. Neal made 4 starts in 2020 as Adams was sidelined with a groin injury. Adams has missed 9 games in 2 seasons with the Seahawks, including the final 5 last season, suffering from a torn lab on his shoulder that required surgery. He missed time in camp this summer after re-injuring his middle finger on his left hand. Another injury he has had before to deal with. Say, anybody want some Trout? Okay. Good luck catching him. Mike Trout homered in his 7th straight game last night. The good news is he's one shy of tying the Major League record On the flip side, they lost to the Guardians, who lead the AL Central division by 3 games over the White Sox, and 5 games ahead of the Twins. The game featured a strange sequence in the 7th when Guardians manager Terry Francona and Angels manager Phil Nevin were rejected without a pitch being thrown between tosses. Trout's 35th home run of the year came in the 5th. The 3-time MVP centered off Connor Pingleton on a 422-foot drive into center. Dale Long of the Pirates established the record with a home run of 8 games back in 1956. Since then, 2 others have done it. Don Mattingly, or as I call it, Donnie Baseball, did that in 1987, and Ken Griffey Jr. did that for the Mariners in 1993. Trout could tie it tonight as the Angels continue their series with the Guardians. I've had no update on that yet, but I'll see what I can come up with. Trout has been the only bright spot for the Angels as they have been in a losing stretch this year. And as I said, Dodgers fans, relax. You're going to the playoffs. As expected, as they blanked the D-backs last night, 6-0. The damage was done by a 3-shot run by Mookie Betts. Then Cody Bellinger followed up with a 2-run double. Tyler Anderson pitching a shutout gave the Dodgers to become the first team to enter the postseason this year. This time it was real. The Dodgers thought they clinched a berth on Sunday, but MLB failed to account for a possible, though very unlikely scenario where the Padres could overtake the Dodgers for the NL West title, and the Dodgers finished a 3-way tie at 96 and 66. Yeah, right. If that were to be the case, the Brewers would win the Central, and the Cardinals would win the wild card based on head-to-head victories against the Dodgers. But all that went out the window as the Dodgers won their 97th game of the year, which was really only a formality to begin with. They now enter the postseason for the 10th straight year. Only the Braves from 1991 to 2005 and the Dodgers from 95 to 2007 had longer runs. Despite that, only one World Series was won between both teams during that stretch, and that was the 95 Braves. The Dodgers can clinch the division tonight with another win over the D-backs, or a loss by the Padres. Okay, that'll do it for me. I'll turn back over to you.
Just saw Brett Hull's empty net goal, completing his hat trick. 3 goals, 2 assists in that game on January 26, 2022. The Red Wings beat the Blues that night, that day, on that calendar day, 5-2 at what used to be Savas Center in St. Louis.
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hang on a second. I can hear you. Can't hear me?
I'm here, Taylor.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, we can hear each other, can't we? I can hear you. I can hear you. Hang on a second.
Well, I know. Say goodnight.
All right, so that was Lewis. I'm Taylor. That was True Sports episode 16. Ta-ta, hit him with a hind. Oh, before we go, follow my other show, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram. Like its Facebook page and subscribe to its YouTube channel. See it. Ta-ta, hit him with a hind.